that conversation never ever gets easier. It's never fun, no matter how bad the situation, right? Because as a CEO, as a business owner, you're responsible for other people's livelihood, and that is always hard to take away.
I feel nauseous, believe me. Never had a lot of shit come easy. Had to work hard, struggle just to be me. Had to rise up just so they could see me. Did what I had to do just to feed me, and what was left over I put towards my dreaming. But the only thing in life that has meaning are the things you gotta work for, believe me. Take into your hands a plan, your own hands can land your own brand. And damn, I feel like no one takes accountability. They want the credibility convincingly.
What's up, everyone? Hope you're good. Now, this is for the people that have already potentially hired and scaled their team outside of just themselves. They've taken off some of those hats from the business owner. They've started to outsource. They've started to pay other people. They now have a responsibility of everyone else in the business. And at some point, that business is going to face problems. And at some point, those problems are going to have to do with a certain person or certain people within the business. So what I want to talk to you about today is hiring and firing, specifically more so the firing portion. Firing sucks. Firing people, firing staff, especially if you run a business where everyone seems to be quite close. You gain friendships. It's a shitty situation, but unfortunately, if we want to be the actual CEO, and this is not just a self-appointed CEO because you own the business, the person that actually runs the business, the person that actually has the business's best interests at heart at all times, to be the CEO, you're going to have to break some hearts sometimes. You're going to have to make those tough calls. And a tough call is, and I've said this quite often when I've said it to my team, I've said it to people I work with, said it to people I mentor, a tough conversation is hard to have and it's also hard to hear. So this probably very helpful for people that potentially are employees themselves. If your superior is ever coming to you with something that makes you feel uncomfortable, you best believe it's fucking uncomfortable to have that conversation too. So you owe each other the respect that you both deserve to make sure that conversation is had well, objectively, without emotion. And I know it's hard to do, but there are certain ways that you can do so, especially from a management perspective. Goes without saying, if you have a staff that is problematic, if let's say it's just not working, you need to be very, very clear that it is not working. KPIs need to be set in place, right? Not only from a perspective of management, but legally as well. I won't get into that, but you can get into some pretty hefty roadblocks. KPIs need to be met, managed, and reviewed. If those KPIs are not being met, we then need to move into a performance review. A performance review strategy can be as simple as reduced hours. It can be reduced schedule, it can be reduced lead generation, it can be reduced acquisition, etc. Whatever that is, we need to protect the business in the best way possible, and that might be by reducing the exposure of this individual while they fix their shit, right? It is your job to help them fix their shit, and if you can't, or if they can't take action on that fixing, then it is time to leave. It is time to go. It is time to have that conversation. That conversation never ever gets easier. It's never fun, no matter how bad the situation, right? Because as a CEO, as a business owner, you're responsible for other people's livelihood, and that is always hard to take away. So what I suggest you do is come up a way that allows you to understand that it needs to happen. Now, this is, I guess, the advice that I tried to seek when I was first going down this road. The first time that this came up in my business, this was all the advice that I tried to seek that I felt like I didn't get, because often, I didn't feel like people could understand the situation. I didn't feel like people were able to really show any empathy. And most people would either just say, just fucking do it, or like just solve the problem. And unfortunately, both answers left me pretty anxious and pretty unaware of what to do and where to go. So I guess this is some lessons from experience in that process when it comes to exiting staff. And one thing that one of my mentors said to me, and this was probably the most helpful portion of advice, is you didn't put you in that room, right? They did. This is not a choice that you have made. It is a choice you have had to react to. It is not a conversation. It's not a discussion. It's a decision, right? And that decision has come directly from their inability to perform, commit, or be a part of the culture that you're trying to build. So know that you have not put yourself in this position. I know something for me, I beat myself up quite a lot of how could I not see this? How did I not problem solve? How did I not fix it? And ultimately, just not everything can be fixed, right? As much as I'd like to say that it can, it just can't, right? So know that you didn't put you in that room, right? I think having HR involved is going to be somewhat important for most cases, especially if the situation is volatile. So that might be something to consider. You can outsource HR really easily as well. There's a million websites. Just Google it. You're an adult. You can find it. And there are people that can help with that. But as for the conversation itself, one of the easiest things that I've found, now I've done this a few times now, and it's never easy, but going in with a bit of a system will allow you to step away from it with less collateral damage and feeling less shit. That starts with you accepting the fact that you did not put you in that room and you do not have to take responsibility for it. I'm a big fan of extreme ownership, and I think it's in most cases necessary. And to fix the problem and to try and alleviate the issues that you may be going through, it is necessary, but at some point, the rubber needs to meet the road. And the conversation needs to be something that, as I just said before, it's not a discussion, because if you do put someone on the back foot, think about yourself. If you have ever been accused of something, if you've ever been put in an awkward position, the most natural response is to be defensive. And that is the last thing you want to get yourself into, is a discussion or an argument, worst case scenario, of discussing this individual's performance or their ability to meet the KPIs required of them. So we don't want to do that. We want to avoid that. And we want to just talk to them in very simple terms. And this does not need to be a conversation that lasts a long period of time. This is like a Band-Aid situation. The faster you rip it off, the better it is for everyone, in my opinion. So don't leave yourself much room for there to be back and forth discussion. If you've gone through the appropriate process, you've gone through the KPIs, you've gone through performance review, and the business is no longer benefiting from having this person there, and they are no longer benefiting from being a part of the business, i.e. the stress that it's causing, the anxiety. They know they're not hitting their targets. Yeah, like if you've done it right, they fucking know. And that's stressful too. So the faster you rip this Band-Aid, the better. And the less you make it about a discussion where they feel like they can be defensive, the less you make it about a back and forth dialogue and more about a decision that has unfortunately had to be made, the faster you can both move on. And more importantly, the faster the business can recover. The way I've found that this works well is to make it a win-win for you, a lose-lose for them. And it is very, very simple. If you've gone through those KPIs, you've gone through the performance review, you need to use that as ammo. They sit down, you bring them in and you say, hey, are you aware of these, this, and this? Or you know this, and this has been an issue, yes? And they're going to say one of two things. They're either going to say, yeah, I'm aware. And then your answer is, great. So you understand why I can no longer keep you here. Or if they say no, it's for that exact reason why I can no longer keep you here. At the end of the day, guys, if people don't understand what they're doing wrong after they've been through the necessary process of performance review, you're never going to win. You're never going to get to a point where they sit there and understand, recognize, and move and take action to fix the actual problem. So you need to put yourself in a win-win. You need to protect the business. You need to get more profitable. So it's a fire situation. They either understand that they have fucked up and they have not been able to rectify those issues, and that is as to why they need to leave, or they do not understand, and that is the exact reason they need to leave too. Keep in mind, guys, people that stay in your business for too long can impact culture more than they can impact revenue, and keeping around for too long is going to cause more problems than what you think. So do that, do it fast, and hire slow.
It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown.